Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Nadex Morning Analysis. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me, as usual, from Keep Trading Simple, we have Brian Caprice. We're going to try to knock through this one today pretty quickly. It's a quiet Friday. Maybe it will be a feel-good Friday. But before we jump into the hot spots in the market today, I need to share our disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk, and that this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. There's no solicitation here. We are doing this for your education purposes only. All right, I'm going to flip this over here. And, the story I think that we're going to talk a little bit about today, two things. One, we're going to talk a little bit about the president did give a speech last night, but what was interesting was the topic that there is a massive push to buy more vaccine doses, and that by the end of May or sometime in May, we should have doses for all adults in the U.S. to potentially get one, and that there's a massive push to build facilities and get actual practitioners that can put the doses in people's arms. So not only are we going to have the vaccine doses, we're going to have some increased mechanism in order to deliver them. I could tell you here in Chicago, they opened up the United Center, which is where the Chicago Bulls and the Chicago Blackhawks play. The moment they opened that facility, I mean, you could drive up in your car, get it, and leave. They opened up 50,000 slots. Those reservations filled up in 8 minutes. They're going to be building super sites like that everywhere. They're trying to ramp up even more. The more people they can get giving doses, and if they've got the doses to give, they're looking to speed up that. And I think that people are trying to digest that and see if the light at the end of the tunnel for this vaccine might be a little bit closer at hand than we had anticipated. How do you interpret that into the markets? We also know we got the stimulus coming. So I want to talk a little bit about NASDAQ and Dow and how they're kind of waiting to see what retail traders think about that, because I think there's a little bit of a reaction. And we'll do a quick discussion of the U.S. Canadian dollar, because Canada came out with their unemployment rate earlier this morning. We told you yesterday to watch. It was a pretty significant variance, and we saw an immediate reaction in the Canadian dollar, but we just want to take a look at that. So Brian, I'm going to flip it over to you, and let's take a look at we could do a little bit on NASDAQ and Dow and how you're interpreting some of this.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously getting things signed is extremely important. I was kind of looking for the specific details of it, and actually it's interesting. If you look at Fortune magazine online, you can see an article that talks about how stimulus checks may be as early as this weekend. So, I mentioned Feel Good Friday is one of those things that you typically see as people are trying to close out the week. I was going to say all the catalyst is there for it. Right now, this is gold. Let me actually go back up to the NQ. So the NQ is taking a little bit of a fall. We had mentioned a level up here at right around 29,990 yesterday. And you can see we had a decent push off. It was at about a 1 to 2 yesterday before we ended up getting a bit of a kick up around 10 o'clock. And that 10:30, that 10 o'clock reversal is what got us. And then ended up pushing up higher, and then really at that time has really done nothing but continue to collapse lower. Now this morning, starting with a little bit around 4 o'clock this morning in the European session, we did get a rollover on that one. We had 2 profit targets on our short, looking at 12,842 and then 12,750. It didn't quite make it all the way down there. It got down to 12,775, so we missed it by just a little bit there in the NQ before it rolled back up again. Right now, it's in the middle of the range. There's not really a whole lot in there that we can see, and even dropping on a 15-minute, you can see there's kind of a minor level, but not a whole lot in here. And again, with everything we've seen, people getting stimulus checks, talk about COVID and vaccines and things like that, these are all things that should drive the economy. There will be a little bit of a sector rotation, and I think that's why the NQ is getting beat up a little bit worse than everything else. But for the most part, those are 2 levels that I would say that are important levels. Again, you can see that the 12,840, the basing level here in pop, look exactly where, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here.
Yep.
Here's the level right there that we had the prior profit target at. And what did it do? It rode along the top, it kind of rode along the bottom, pulled back up, rode along the bottom of that same level, and now we're riding along the top. This could be a base for an eventual push forward. And again, on a smaller time frame, this would actually look like a Harry Potter here. a push up, a base, a pull back to that zone, and a push
And
higher.
then push higher.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean that's kind of, and then again, this is right around 12,840 in this one.
All right. So
and
here I'm
going to go to anything else. Did you?
Yeah, hold on. I just want to bring this up,
okay.
and I like some of the other things that you tend to discuss. I mean, if I just wanted to show, I mean, Nasdaq has clearly been struggling a bit as people have been anticipating things getting a little bit better. But I'm going to zoom in much closer to a shorter time frame here, and just look recently. Something that Brian talks about, where in the European session, we saw the Nasdaq get pushed down. I mean, this was traders and Europe getting their first opportunity to really kind of do something, and they pushed the Nasdaq down. Often they do that. Why do they do that? Because they're looking for an opportunity to scoop it lower. We have to wait and see what the U.S. retail trader does when they come in just over a half hour. But I mean, you're already starting to see it bounce a little bit, but there might be some buying opportunities when the Nasdaq does dip. The U.S. retail traders, still likes a lot of the stocks that are in that basket. So you might see some buyers step in when the U.S. retail traders step in. So it's a little bit of a buy the dip down here in the Nasdaq for some short-term trading opportunities. So I would say just keep your eye out for that. Did you want to take a look? And the other thing that Brian, you talk about often is the Feel Good Friday. I think that could actually play into the Dow as well. I mean, the Nasdaq is down just over 1% at the moment. Wouldn't be surprised if potentially it finished the day flat or even in the green. You want to show us what you're thinking about the Dow as well?
Yeah, I mean, here's the Dow. This is the level we talked about yesterday, and I mentioned, hey, don't be surprised if it goes higher, and it did. It went higher, and we were trying to find a new area, and it kind of pulled back in anticipation for signing. We had a little bit of a gap and pushed lower, and here was the level that we drew 2 days ago, I believe, basically the 32,300 and the 32,250. You can see same situation. It did not like the speech. It came straight down. European session, European markets stepped in, and then immediately started to push higher. It's an interesting place right now. Looking at this right now, you can see that not only was there a gap here that has also been respected, we had a little bit of an area of basing, and that's kind of where we're stuck at right now. And you can see actually this one little push forward actually went up and just touched that zone right there. I don't know if you guys can see the wick or not. I'm trying to make it.
You can.
But yeah, it came up and grabbed it. So it's an area we need to watch out for. I would say, and I mentioned this yesterday, of the three, I felt like the Dow had the most to gain from the stimulus being signed. Remember, it's not a broad, it's not as robust as originally some people had thought it was going to be. But I will say, and again, in the article that I was mentioning earlier, it was actually the White House press secretary that said people can start seeing direct deposits as early as this weekend. And they do mention that if this is the case, if we start delivering checks, this will be the fastest turnaround for stimulus checks, that it took 2 weeks before to be able to get them out. It just shows that there are capabilities out there when people are motivated to get things done quick. So it proves that the government can move quick. So right now, I would say it's set up in two shorting opportunities. But again, it's one of those scenarios. Feel Good Friday. People are going to be getting that like double paycheck this weekend because it's Friday paycheck and then stimulus paycheck. So there's a lot of positives out there. And like I said, depending on how the media grabs it this morning and what they highlight will really depend on where this one goes for the day. But, I would still keep my focus on the 32,300 and the 32,250 down below. We know that now it's been confirmed that price shot down, took off, as well as the two levels. But if we can break through, let's see, what's the price tag right here? We can break through 32,500. Again, we could really be pushing back up and really, really basically battling with the sellers up here to see if we can get above 32,600. But, for lack of a better day, I mean, this is probably the best opportunity we have to break higher again.
Yeah, just set new highs. And just, by the way, backing things up again, I mean, you can see how, unlike the Nasdaq, which has been slowly trending lower, the Dow slowly trending higher. So that is part of that sector rotation that we still continue to see. But Dow, again, trading at all-time, or up near all-time highs. And a way, again, to play this would be, I mean, I'm kind of a fan of watching the binary options. There are a lot of different strikes in here. And as it moves around, remember, all of these are eventually going to go to 0 or 100. and playing it from the long side, particularly earlier in the day, there's some opportunity here to potentially go long on the Dow, looking for it to finish higher on the day if that's what you thought it was going to do. All right, let's just do one more thing quickly this morning because it's something else that we had mentioned. The numbers out, but I like to go back and point it out because we do, tell you there's news events, trading around news events. We had Canada's unemployment numbers come in, and I thought we could take a quick peek at that because their unemployment numbers came in way better than expected with the number of jobs that they're adding, and their unemployment rate actually dropped a full percentage point.
Yep. And we mentioned these on Tuesday. We expected these numbers to both, again, the unemployment change higher. We expected, and what I said was I expected the unemployment rate to come in at like an 8.9 or a 9.0, not quite an 8.2, but again, it just shows you how off some of the forecasts can technically be. And what's interesting about that, and again, looking at kind of this top section here, I know you guys can't necessarily see it, but looking at this top section up here, you can see that in the last 24 hours, you can see that we have euro dollar down, pound dollar down, dollar yen up, dollar Swiss up, and that is all showing dollar strength as well as Aussie dollar. But then all of a sudden, dollar CAD down 45. So you can see this is a big deal. Really, again, the dollar has been strong. Everything is really fighting back right now at this point. So pretty interesting how it's putting out. And again, if you guys want to look at it in a chart, you can see this is an hourly chart. We can do a half hour. But you can see we had a couple different Harry Potters. We were looking to get short. We were looking for it to pull back. We were looking for it to base. And he's able to do that. And, pretty nice move in the overnight, down about 64 pips. That's right around where its daily ATR is right now. So, again, pretty decent move to the downside. And what we should be looking for now is, where is this retracement? Has it already happened? And we have some levels down here around the 25 flat. And I did mention on Tuesday that I expected this to get down to 25 flat by the end of the week. It got down to 25.08 is what we've touched so far. But I do actually continue seeing this today. Right now, the dollar is getting a little bit of strength. Gold is actually down right now, which is also kind of an interesting story. I don't know. That's kind of, it's down, but I would say that's the gold market is kind of not taking the speech as what I would assume they would have taken it as. But again,
we're confused.
Yeah, and it's definitely an interesting point to bring up too. I mean, gold's in a level right now with some buyers, but you would think more money's coming out. Gold should be rallying, right? If you're giving money to everybody out there, inflation. You're seeing oil down as well. Dollar CAD strong, but oil is showing that it's down right now. And again, it's one of those things when you see the commodities out there, gold, silver, and oil all down. Silver's down 2.4, gold's down 1%, oil's down just a little bit, but yet everything's supposed to be fixed. The market is not believing the speech. So there's kind of and again, it's a shame because with such great CAD news, higher prices in oil is even better for the Canadian economy. But this is not what they want to see. They don't want to see good numbers in the CAD, in the economy, and then oil prices going down because they really kind of need that combination of both. So,
all right. You know what? I do want to mention that next Tuesday we've got a full-blown boot camp on being a day trader at Nadex. I've put the link in the chat. I do know some folks are kind of curious about charting and doing technical analysis. I'd recommend going to the Nadex website under Learning Webinars. We've got some basic webinar recordings on the basics of technical analysis, which you can look at the recording. We also will do those. Keep an eye for upcoming webinars, and we'll do more on that. In fact, it'd be great if we could even have Brian come in and maybe do some webinars in the next month or so on maybe taking us off of basic technical analysis and maybe doing a little bit on advanced technical analysis and how to use charts. I know we've got a lot of new folks in the Nadex markets and they're looking for some help, and we want to do anything we can to help you on your journey. With that, if you've got any questions for Nadex, please email us customerservice@nadex.com. And I would also say, if you need some help and you're looking for some help around those ideas, you might want to reach out to Brian. He is available. Support at keeptradingsimple.com. I know he emails with a lot of folks. He's here to help, and you can find out what kind of resources he's got available to help you along with your journey. With that, keep an eye open for It'd be nice to have a feel good Friday going into the spring. Want to remind everyone that we are, if you're in one of the time zones, we're going to lose an hour over the weekend. Um, it's that time of year. I kind of wish we would just kind of go there and stay there and not keep doing the switch. But we will be. It's daylight saving time coming up. And with that, Brian, I'll be back Monday morning. Tuesday is the event. Be sure that you register for that. And want to wish everyone good luck in the markets today. We will catch you later. Thanks, everyone.